This is the moment, tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over, so we put our hands up like a ceiling can.
Hi guys, welcome to Shams TV. I'm here to take a class on beta-lactam antibiotics. Yeah, let's get into the topic without wasting any more time. Here we go. The topics I'm going to include in today's video are: first one is, what is a beta-lactam? Second is the structure of beta-lactams. Third is the classification of beta-lactams. Fourth is narrow spectrum penicillin G. Fifth is about mechanism of action of penicillin. Sixth is on uses of penicillin G. Seventh is about mechanism of resistance to penicillin. And eighth is beta-lactamase inhibitors. And with some add-ons at the end like beta-lactamase inhibitors, penicillinase resistant penicillin, MRSA. MRSA stands for methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus. The first topic for today is, what are beta-lactam antibiotics? It is the largest family of antibiotics. There are wide varieties of drugs come under beta-lactam antibiotics. These antibiotics have a beta-lactam ring, hence it is called as beta-lactam antibiotics. This is how the beta-lactam ring looks like. The two major groups of beta-lactam antibiotics are penicillin and cephalosporins. I'll take a video on cephalosporins in my next video, stay tuned. The third topic is structure of beta-lactam antibiotics, that is penicillin. I made it simpler, that is, it is made up of a ring called as beta-lactam ring, a thiazolin ring and a side chain R. The fourth topic is classification of beta-lactam antibiotics. The first class of drug, that is the penicillin. Penicillin is broadly subclassified into narrow spectrum and a broad spectrum antibiotics. Narrow spectrum antibiotics are antibiotics which has a very limited action. That is, it only acts on few group of organisms. So here in the narrow spectrum subclassification, it is first discovered. The reason why it is called as narrow spectrum antibiotic is basically penicillins are lipid soluble. Since it is lipid soluble, it can hardly, that is least, penetrate into the gram-negative organisms. Hence its action is limited to gram-positive organisms. And it can also act on some of the gram-negative organisms like meningococcus. But its action is mostly restricted to gram-positive organisms. Since penicillin is a narrow-spectrum antibiotic, it has a very limited action, that it mostly acts on gram-positive organisms. So we have to make it better. In other words, we have to improvise its action. So we have another subclassification. Semisynthetic penicillins. Under this we have three more types. Firstly, a broad-spectrum penicillins, acid-resistant penicillins, and penicillinase enzyme-resistant penicillins. We'll go one by one. Firstly, broad-spectrum penicillins. Broad-spectrum antibiotics are antibiotics which has a wide varieties of action. Like it can act on wide varieties of organisms. So what do we want? A broad-spectrum penicillins. But what do we have now? A narrow-spectrum penicillin. So we have to convert a narrow-spectrum penicillin into a broad-spectrum penicillin. Firstly, when we look at the structure of the penicillin G, as I described earlier, it has a thiazolin ring, a beta-lactam ring and a side chain R. To this structure, we used an enzyme called amidase. What this beautiful enzyme amidase does is, it breaks down the penicillin G side chain R, so that the place where the side chain R was present will become empty. To this place, we are adding several functional groups to make it a broad spectrum antibiotic. We add three functional groups. The first one is amino, a carboxy group, a urido group. Amino is positively charged, carboxy groups are negatively charged, and urido groups are both positively and negatively charged. Since we are adding charges to the penicillin G structure, we are making it ionized. Since the penicillin G is ionized, it is now more water soluble. So if it is water soluble, it can penetrate into gram-negative cell wall. So out of these three, amino, carboxy and urido group, since urido group has both positive and negative charges, it is more water soluble and it has maximum action on the gram-negative organisms. It is more water soluble and has a maximum action on gram-negative organisms. These are few examples under each group. Ampicillin and amoxicillin are examples under amino group. Under carboxy group, examples are carbenicillin and ticacidin. The examples under urido group are piperacillin and methicillin. Before we go in detail on each of the subclassification, I'll talk about mechanism of action of penicillin and pharmacokinetics. The main aim or the main goal of the penicillin G is to inhibit the cell wall synthesis in bacteria. So, how does it act? So, let us slightly get into our microbiome topic. As we all know, bacteria synthesis two repeating sugar units that are UDP N-acetyl muramic acid and UDP N-acetyl glucosamine, and these two together contributes to the bacterial cell wall. I'll explain to you the entire process with a beautiful picture that is referred from K.D. Tripathi. As you can see, the N-acetyl muramic acid and N-acetyl glucosamine, the peptidoglycan residues are linked together forming a long strand. The UDP molecule which is present in them, that is the N-acetyl muramic acid and N-acetyl glucosamine, gets detached from them. Here we come to the final step where the terminal D-alanine present in this linear strand gets cleaved from them by an enzyme called transpeptidase. As we all know, there is always an energy release when the bonds are broken and we require energy to establish a bond. So the energy release due to the breakdown of the terminal D-alanine from the linear strand will be utilized to form a cross linkage that is called as pentaglycine bridge. And this continues like a chain reaction. This cross linkage connects one strand to an adjacent neighboring strand, as you can see it here. And this will continue like a chain reaction and each and every strand gets cross linked. You can see it here. And these cross linkages will make the cell wall more stable and rigid. Hence, it makes the cell wall more difficult to break. So how does the penicillin act? So what a penicillin does is, it inhibits the main culprit, that is the enzyme transpeptidases, which is responsible for the formation of the cross linkages by cleaving the terminal D-alanine. Hence, it inhibits the formation of the pentaglycine bridges. So this will make the bacterial cell wall more weaker and less rigid. So this will make the cell wall naturally easily degradable. So from where does the penicillin do all these action sequences? So it goes and binds to a specific protein structure called penicillin binding proteins, which is present in the bacterial cell membrane. Each organism has several numbers of penicillin binding proteins. It can be many in number, and they show different affinity towards each beta-lactam antibiotics. For example, a particular organism shows one type of affinity towards penicillin will show different affinity towards ampicillin or amoxicillin. The next topic is about the pharmacokinetics of penicillin G. So we'll start with route of administration. So the route of administration we prefer here is intravenous route, and it is also called as aqueous penicillin G. And why we prefer intravenous route is, when we give the penicillin G via intramuscular route, there is an injection site reaction like hypersensitivity reaction. So we prefer intravenous route here, and it is also called as aqueous penicillin G. So here we'll talk about pharmacokinetic aspects. So penicillin G, when it is given orally, it is very poorly absorbed. That is, it has a poor oral absorption. It is due to acid labile, which means it can be easily broken down by gastric HCl. That's why I told earlier we prefer IV route. That is the aqueous penicillin G. Since it is acid labile, we have to convert it into acid stable. So we did it by producing penicillin V. Penicillin V is the derivative of penicillin G, and the only difference is it is acid stable, and remaining all like any other properties remain same as penicillin G. And the second aspect is it undergoes rapid tubular secretion by P-glycoprotein. Hence it is very short acting drug. That is, the half-life of the penicillin G in a healthy individual is 30 minutes. So since it is short acting, we have to convert it into long acting. So we did it by two mechanisms. Firstly, by blocking its cause of secretion by inhibiting PGP. PGP is nothing but P-glycoprotein, by adding another substrate called propin acid. Propin acid is also excreted by PGP, so that is given in combination with penicillin G. and probenecid will compete with penicillin G for its excretion, thereby enhancing its duration of action, and this will make the penicillin G longer acting. Secondly, by increasing its water solubility. So this is done by giving penicillin G with either procaine or benzathine by intramuscular route. So when penicillin G is given with procaine via intramuscular route, there is going to be no pain since procaine is a local anesthetics. But when penicillin G is combined with benzathine, it is the longest acting drug in the beta-lactam antibiotics and it will act for 28 days. And this combination, penicillin G and benzathine combination, is used for prophylaxis of rheumatic fever and it's given once monthly. When these drugs are given through IM, they get confined to that area for longer duration of time. Since they are water soluble, they are slowly released into the systemic circulation and they become longer acting. In aqueous penicillin G IV dose, each mg has 1600 international units. Now we have the uses of penicillin G. Penicillin G is the most important, the drug of choice for the sexually transmitted infection known as syphilis. So for the primary, secondary and early latent syphilis, the drug of choice is benzathine penicillin G. It's given in 2.4 million international units once. And for the tertiary syphilis without CNS involvement, the CVS involvement and late latent syphilis, the drug of choice is also the same, benzathine penicillin G, but it's given 2.4 million international units in 3 doses once a week. And for the neurosyphilis, the drug of choice is aqueous penicillin G. Here it is the only exception where benzathine penicillin G is not used. And the drug of choice here is aqueous penicillin G. And here the dose is 18 to 24 million international units, continuous IV infusion for 10 to 14 days. Penicillin G is also a drug of choice for streptococcus, gas gangrene, rat bite fever, yaws, and leptospirosis. I'll continue with the leftover topic, that is mechanism of resistant development to penicillin, in my next video. Do like and subscribe, and if you have any clarification, please do use the comment section. And don't forget to press the bell icon to get instant notification of my future uploads. Bye bye. Thank you.